Welcome back to Work on a Superyacht, and this week I'm going to show you how to keep all of this stainless steel nice and shiny. It's just the sort of job you'll be given as a day worker or as a deckhand just starting out. The bosun might say, polish this or polish that, then come and let me know when you're done. It's super easy, but there are some best practices to follow, so we'll cover those here. I'll also show you some of the products you can expect to be using, some of the different types of polish, and also we'll look at what we use to protect the stainless steel once it's been polished. That way you know exactly what to expect. First things first, and I'm carrying my tools in this red bucket. I call this a working bucket. It's not the same bucket that I'll use to wash down with. This is a bucket designated for dirty jobs, like polishing, like painting. If I need some tools, I'll pop them in the bucket. That way I can carry them around the deck. I don't have to worry about spilling anything. I can work from the bucket, all of the teak, all the paintwork, that all stays nice and clean. I've already been to the wash locker and the forepeak to get my equipment. I've got some tubes of polish and some toothbrushes, which I keep in this old chamois holder. This is the wax that I use to protect the stainless steel after it's been polished. Glove, don't want to get this on my hands. And some rags. I'm also going to put down a drop cloth to protect the teak. Let's start with the dry polish, and you'll most likely get this as a day worker. Once the yacht's been made ready for guests, everything's been washed down, all of the teak has been scrubbed. It's just about going around making sure that all of the details are in order. No watermarks, no bits of rust, no tarnish on the stainless steel. And I've got this brand, Autosol, but there are plenty others on the market. One I've used on a lot of yachts is called Flitz. Whatever the case, it's all the same sort of stuff, and it comes in what might be described as a toothpaste tube. Remember that you're not the only person who's going to be using this, so keep it clean, keep it tidy, work from the bottom, pushing the product to the top. Lid. Please don't lose it. It's really annoying when this sort of stuff gets lost and the polishing kit becomes a bit of a mess. Just always think about the next person so that when they come to use it, everything's in order, all ready to go. This stuff is no good if it gets on your skin. It can be damaging to your health, but if nothing else, it's just annoying when your hands get filthy dirty and then you walk into the interior, start touching handrails and making a mess. Then the chief stew's not going to be very happy with you. So, gloves, I've only got it on the one hand. I'm only going to be holding the rag with the one hand. That keeps this one free to operate the shutter on this camera, I guess. Grab yourself a rag. In this instance, I'm using what you might say is a tiny little rag. That's because once I use these rags for the polish, I like to throw them away, and if I use a great big rag, I've got to throw the whole lot away, so I cut them down nice and small, fold it into a nice little square. That way you kind of know which side of the rag you're working on. That'll do ya. Lid, don't lose it, and remember, keep it all in the kit, keep it all in the bucket. If this stuff gets on the teak, it makes a real mess. If the teak's just been scrubbed, then you're really going to be in trouble. So work out of the bucket, keeps everything clean. A pea-sized amount, shall we say. Really carrying on the toothpaste theme here. We've got toothpaste tube, pea-sized amounts. In a minute we'll get the toothbrushes out. Anyway, let's get on with it. Apply the polish in circular motions, and 9 times out of 10 on a super yacht, stainless steel is usually in pretty good order, but this stuff is really quite abrasive, and you'll be surprised at how effective it is on even the most tarnished stainless steel. Of course, on an area like this, a rag is sufficient. I can get everything, no problems at all. But what about the more tricky areas? That is where my old Colgate toothbrush comes into play. Now the toothbrush is great, but just remember these bristles will flick, and they will flick this polish all over the place, all over the paintwork, all over the nice clean teak. So when you do this, take your rag and cup it around whatever it is that you're polishing. Right, back to the bell, and once we finish polishing the bell, there will be some residue left on the stainless steel. And at this point, I like to take my rag and fold it the other way, the non-polished side of it. And then I'll use that just to take off any excess. The reason I do that is because the last step is to use a microfiber rag. And the microfiber rag is one I want to keep. I don't want to make a mess of this. I like to wash it and reuse it. So I don't want to cover it in loads of polish residue. So buff off with the dirty one, and then you'll be ready to use the microfiber, and you can buff it up to a high shine, as they say. And that's the dry polish. Piece of cake. And hopefully I'll be getting a cake on Thursday. Vegan one, of course, because it's my birthday. That's right, folks. 34 years on this earth, and I finally feel qualified to tell you how to polish stainless steel. Anyway, on to the wet polish now, and this is a brand called Star Clean. I think it's the only brand of wet polish that I've found on a yacht. Superior shine with no buffing, and it's true, it's good, this stuff. A little bit different, it involves getting the area wet. We generally use it during a washdown or after a teak scrub. This is really effective at quickly getting away those scorch marks that can sometimes affect the stainless steel after you apply the step 2. Not quite as abrasive as the dry polish, so if you've got any real bad tarnished areas, you might have to go afterwards with the dry, but for the most part, the wet, it's a winner. Okay, then back to the bell now because I love it. And it's time to get it wet. So imagine we're washing down and I've just got this wet. Hasn't been washed yet, just made it wet. Then we apply the polish. Got myself a rag, gonna make that wet. Lovely job. Nice wet rag. Fold it up into squares again. That way I know where I'm at. Wet polish. Remember, don't lose the lid. Pea-sized amount. Let's have a go. And it's exactly the same process. Circular motions, but what you'll notice about the wet polish is you can really cover some ground here. I can whip round this bell in no time flat. And as usual, I'm polishing something that's really quite shiny already, so I don't have to go too hard on it. It's just to really get that high shine, that superior shine, as they call it. You can see on the rag, the polish kind of goes into these little abrasive balls, and that's what's doing the polishing. What's great about the wet polish is you don't have to worry about the teak. You can drop it on the teak and you can simply rinse it away, no problems at all. Give the rag a rinse, or maybe you've got a designated bucket to rinse it out in. Either way, rinse it off, you can put that to the side, then we'll rinse this and then we'll wash it. Mitt. All washed, rinse again. Now you can just see that water, it's beading off. Beautiful. Finish off with a quick dry. And a bit of microfiber. Really feel that's like velvet now. It's absolutely beautiful. But of course, now you've taken all this time to polish the bell, you want to protect the bell. You don't want the bell tarnishing quickly. So that is when we use the final product, the wax. And this one is a brand called Collinite. Number 845 Insulator Wax. You guys have seen me get excited about some fairly mundane things in my time, but this stuff, whoa, next level. I love it. I even love the smell of it. Probably not supposed to do that, but sometimes it's those simple pleasures that get you through. Shines, protects, preserves. Sounds good to me. This will also make a real mess of the teak, so be careful, keep it clean. Make sure you work out of your bucket. It's got one of those push down and screw up lids. Just be careful to put it back on properly. I've had it before where someone's just loosely put it back on. Grab hold of the lid to lift it up. You lift it up so far and then the whole bottle falls on the deck. Makes a real mess. Don't want to do that. As is the case with most things these days, don't get it in your eyes, don't get it on your skin, and don't swallow it. If you adhere to those rules, you'll be just fine. First things first, it's another rag. Fold it up into squares and we simply apply a bit to the rag. you might have noticed it was a little bit liquid there. This stuff gets more liquid if you leave it out in the sun, in the heat. So just be careful. I recommend that you keep it in the shade. When it gets too liquidy, it really is quite difficult to pour. It's very easy to drip it on the teak. Here we go then, and like the polish, it's super easy. Just rub it on in circular motions. Of course, the stainless steel, it's not porous. You can't rub it into the stainless steel. You're simply applying it to the surface, so no need to rub too hard. Just put it on, and then what we're going to do is allow it to sit for a minute or two, and it will haze up. Sort of a white, swirly, cloudy haze. And when that happens, you know it's ready to be buffed off. As you can see, it goes quite a long way, so no need to use too much, and you just apply a little bit more as necessary. Same trick as before. When you're finished, just turn your rag to the clean side, and then we can buff off. As before, we're going to finish with the microfiber cloth. And that's it, job's a good one. And she really does feel like velvet now. It somehow makes the stainless steel, which is hard, actually feel soft. And that's really nice for any guest who's walking along a gangway. They grab hold of a railing and it just has that nice, soft feel to it. Of course, that's going to annoy you because now you're going to have to buff off their fingerprints. But that's easy too, because the Collinite wax just makes it real easy to wipe off most things. Watermarks are unlikely because the water just beads off it, but if you do get any, again, just buff them off. That makes the stainless steel just last that little bit longer, which gives you more time to get on with other jobs. Just don't put wax on this area of the capstans or this area of the bits, because that's where the mooring ropes go around and you want friction there. Wax will just make them really slippery. Now that you're done, it's simply a case of lids back on, polishing kit all neat and tidy, everything back into the wash locker or forepeak or wherever it's kept. As for the rags, my microfiber I want to wash, so I'll put that in the dirty rags bin ready to be washed. All of the rags that have had polish and wax on, throw them away. Do not try and wash them. All they will do is ruin your washing machine. I've just come down here out of the wind to finish off and show you one last thing. When it comes to polishing brushed metal, such as this sink, don't use dry polish. The reason being that it seems to just work its way into the grain of the metal and make a big black stain, and it's really hard to get off. So much better use the wet polish, then you can simply wash and rinse it away. Comes up lovely. The products I've shared with you today don't have a chance of getting scratches out of stainless steel. They're more just about making it look pretty. Scratches are a topic for another video and something you should get experience with once you've proven yourself on these more basic tasks. For more videos about deckhand duties, please do check out the rest of the playlist. As always, with respect to this video, if you found some value in it, a like would be fantastic, a sub would be amazing, and I very much look forward to seeing you next time.